Good morning, Boker Tov. Wonderful to be with each of you in your Zoom square as we connect this Sunday morning on 12/12, studying and practicing a little mindfulness and a little Kabbalah. And as I said in one of the announcements, it's I was inspired by our Rabbi Rachel, who did a workshop a few weeks ago on the Zohar. And I wanted to continue that conversation and recognize for us what the Sefirot, the energy centers in our bodies, what they mean in relation to our well-being, our resilience, our best selves coming forth in life. Rabbi Rachel talked about how the Zohar was not linear, and it's clear. I actually did a PowerPoint to kind of get my thoughts in order for today. And a PowerPoint really doesn't work in a nonlinear universe. But I still have a couple of slides that I'll share. One metaphor that I wanted to use in the conversation today is that the Sefirot, the energy centers in the body that are represented, are really like our operating system. And that the more awareness we can bring into each of these centers, the more efficient our operating system is working. And so I'll talk a little bit about sort of the plug-in from above and the plug-in from below, it could be Bluetooth or it could be a direct cable, depending on what you're accustomed to. But both are the connection of the stars and the connection of the earth through the feet, the ground us and bring a divine flow of energy and spirit through our bodies. So with that, just as a short intro, I just want to light a candle to bring us all into the moment and all present. And I just want to bless each of us with a deep level of understanding and awareness, that we discover our gifts, we discover a deeper level of awareness about these energy centers, so that what results is transformation in our own lives, in our family's life, and in the planet's life. So why don't we just jump in for a second, and I wanted to do what I call a 3-sync meditation, and it's literally maybe for 3 minutes just to start us out. And what we're doing is we're tuning our body, our emotions, and our psyche together. And it's often a good practice before starting your day, before starting a project, just to make sure that we're fully attuned and imbalanced. So let's just sit up tall in our chairs. Allow your crowns to reach up to the sky. Feel your feet on the ground. And we're just going to start with a body scan, a physical body scan, starting at your toes, moving up to your crown. And wherever you notice or become aware of any body sensations, any discomforts, any pains, just draw awareness about it. Maybe bring some light to it. Maybe bring some color to it. If you notice yourself judging this sore spot, just notice yourself judging the sore spot. And just allow your whole being to become present to your physical body, this gift that is given us. Now let's move our attention to our emotional body and just pay attention to whatever's going on this morning. If you're a little anxious coming on the call, have other things going on in your lives, other distractions, you're maybe a little anxious, maybe a little excited, maybe a little sad over the state of our nation. Just observe. And if you're judging your emotional state, just observe yourself observing your emotional state. And just know wherever you are is okay. And let's move our attention to our psychic mind, our mental state. Pay attention to any fog that you may have on your clear window of mental acuity, mental awareness. Maybe you ate too much, drank too much last night or this morning, fogging your memory a little bit, fogging you, but just pay attention to what your mind looks like this morning, the clarity of it, the sharpness of it. And if you're judging your mind, just observe yourself judging your mind. It's okay. So a blessing from the Zohar. Daniel Matt in the Zohar talks about making known the glory on high. The human being mirrors the structure of the divine realm. The human being mirrors the structure of the divine realm, the 10 Sefirot, in which masculine and feminine are balanced. The Sefirot constitute the mystery of faith, the belief system of the Kabbalah. So in talking about the Kabbalah, can everybody see that? If you want to see it. The Sefirot, as I said, are energy centers, and we could do a workshop literally on each one, and we don't have time for that today. But I sort of in real time getting on the Zoom call, I kind of shifted gears, and I want to spend time in this area of Chesed, Tiferet, Gevura, in the spirit of this week's Torah portion and the concept of Joseph and Jacob being reunited as symbolic of families being reunited. So what Chesed, Tiferet, Gevura, as some of you may know, really is across our heart. It's representing the deepest part of our heart chamber in Tiferet, Tiferet being what balances the male and female energies. I like to think that the right side of our axis is our masculine, because it's our right shoulder where Gevura, where our fight for justice, where our tzedek lies. And it's also the place in our right hip where Netzach lies, and that's our divine purpose and our divine mission. So this is the masculine side. And interestingly, from an elemental standpoint, it's where our waters reside. I like to almost think that I picture myself either the waters of the womb or even the waters of the Ganga or other holy rivers, spectacular rivers run through us. The left side is the feminine side, and that's depicted with Chesed, divine compassion, kindness, love, and Hod, which represents gratitude and our ancestors. So the feminine energy is represented by fire. And again, this is a workshop. So this is a workshop or even a laboratory in a sense that we all get to be inquisitive about how we can take these concepts and shape them for ourselves in our own spiritual practices. There's nothing that says these concepts can't come into the synagogue. There's nothing that says these concepts can't come into our bedtime ritual or our morning meditation. So what I'd like to do is just jump in with another sort of quick, as this is a workshop, we're not doing a full continuous meditation. I do, before we jump in, as I move into this little exercise around Dot. Dot is the Sefirot, which aligns with the throat center. I wanted to mention that the throat center is something that we all connect into. So if there's a theory from one teacher who I'm working with, a gentleman by the name of Thomas Hubel, that as we practice that 3-sync meditation and we align our throats, we align the energy with our throats, we begin and breathe. And this is where therapists identify the construct of co-regulation. And it's where, as a mediator and working in conflict, co-regulation is really critical to help calm the nervous system and center and ground the body. So by breathing together, and sort of the metaphor of if I'm running at 60 miles an hour and Jody is running at 40 miles an hour on a train, and we want to communicate with one another, we're not synced. But if I slow down to 50 and she speeds up to 50, then the trains are running on time and together. So this notion of dot and forming that synchronization around our throats is really important for our own healing and the healing of the role that we get to play as healers in healing others' trauma. And I just want to take a note and a breath for a second and recognize Jody and Paul, who are usually my partners in crime on Sunday mornings, who make this Makom chanting and meditation program as glorious and wonderful and beautiful of sound as it is. I don't carry that voice that they carry. I look forward to Jody's voice coming back and Paul Pesach having a little more freedom to join us. But Thursday, I decided that I'll jump into this and see where it goes. And so bear with me as we go. So let's do a little dot exercise, and let's just close our eyes for a few minutes. Allow your crowns to reach up to the sky. Allow your feet to feel planted, shoulders back, heart tilted up. And let's just feel your breath in your throat center. I note that there's a glandular function around the thyroid, which is in our throat. The Sephirot, the dot, is the regulator of all the other Sephirot in the body. Just allow yourself to breathe into that place in your throat and begin to feel like there's a oneness with everyone on this Zoom call. That you could almost hear the breath of the others. You could almost feel the textures of the breathing, the gentleness. Just imagine transmitting energy of healing, of peace, of goodness, of health to everybody on the Zoom call. And if we just imagine for a moment that we bring this energy above our crown, let's move up above our crown. And in your mind's eye and imagination, imagine that there's a star, your star, just sitting above the crown. And this star could be representative of Elohim, of the infinite potential of God. But this particular star is unique for you. It carries whatever you need, carries whatever signals are called for you. And if you recognize that this star sitting above your head is connected into a much larger solar system, galaxy, galaxies, universe, that it can also draw upon. So if you imagine there's a fluid, almost like a balm of light, cream, fluid, flowing down from the Keter, kind of falling in behind our eyes, into our sinuses, into our nasal passage, and into our throat. And just allow this fluid, this balm, to wash almost like a neti, clearing out our sinuses, healing our eyes from all the work that our eyes do every day, clearing out our ears so our listening is more attuned, and back into our throat where we started this exercise. Rabbi Yehuda from the Zohar responded, "If the light were completely hidden, the world would not exist for even a moment. Rather, it is hidden and sown like a seed, giving birth to seeds and fruit. Thereby, the world is sustained. Every single day, a ray of that light shines into the world, animating everything. With that ray, God feeds the world. And everywhere that Torah is studied at night, one thread thin ray appears from that hidden light and flows down upon those absorbed in her." So as we move on, let's honor, recognize, give gratitude for that star above our head. I'd like to just touch base on another area, which is the grounding piece, identified on this chart as Malchut and Shekhinah, which is really at the feet, at the base of the spine. Some work that I'm doing with Rabbi Tirza Firestone views the feet and our grounding as that we have domes, little domes attached at the bottom of our feet. And to me, it relates very much so to the notion of reflexology and how all the thousands of points in our feet relate to organs in our body. And by massaging one point on the foot, I could be hitting my kidney or my liver or my gallbladder, or just remarkable. And the Sefirot is similar in that one Sefirot could influence others. So I think that when we move to our feet and we move to this notion of domes sitting at the ball of our feet, Well, first off, in the construct of a dome, I'm reminded of Buckminster Fuller, who created the concept of the geodesic dome and the notion of creating a space for maximum energy efficiency and productivity. So these domes are efficient. They're capturing, for those who have maybe seen the movie Fantastic Fungi, there's a quote from Fantastic Fungi which says, "We need to have a paradigm shift in our consciousness. If we don't get our act together and come in commonality and understanding with the organisms that sustain us today, not only will we destroy those organisms, but we will destroy ourselves." And the relationship here is there is microorganisms under our feet through the ground, the mycelium, tree roots. There's a vast intelligent network under our feet that I usually am pretty unconscious to. But in the spirit of awareness of our Sefirot, I think the more we do our spiritual practices, the more we can send that star energy, send that Tiferet energy through our feet into the earth through a divine intelligent pathway for the work that needs to be done in healing and sustaining this planet. So I just want to do another short exercise, more focused on our lower body. So if we just close our eyes again for a second and sit up tall in our chair, shoulders back, feet touching the ground, feeling the domes under both the balls of your feet, feeling the energy patterns from your feet and the earth, and feeling that massage of that energetic pattern flowing up our legs to the base of our spine, where in your mind's eye you can construct another dome of energy. And this is the Malkut right at the base of our spine. And as we move up through the Sefirot of Yesod, our sexual, reproductive, creative energies, and we move up into the belly region, I just want to spend a few moments here. So just allow and feel the energy from the Malchut moving up into the belly. The gut, they say, is equal to or more important than the brain, even. And through the vagus nerves, VEGUS, running from the gut to the heart, and from the heart and lungs to the brain, we have a direct communication link in our bodies. And I want to suggest that the more we calibrate and attune the Sefirot as part of our operating system, the more we begin to enhance the awareness around the thoughts, the ideas that are being channeled through the vagus nerve. We become more open channels. So if you bring your attention to your left hip, your hod, I like to consider this my place of Israel on my body. It's the place of the ancestors. It's the place of gratitude. And I use Israel more so in the sense of Jacob as an ancestor, and Jacob wrestling with the angels wrestling with God, breaking his hip, and becoming Israel. So if we just allow ourselves to be present to our parents, our ancestors, grandparents, great-grandparents, and I'd ask for you to include anyone else in this corner, any of your own angels and guides, and just allow them to rest in that hip, belly region. Allow them to be present for you. And through our co-regulatory breathing, we also become aware of each other's ancestors and guides. And just allow ourselves to practice getting our trains synced at 50 miles an hour as we do this exercise together. And if we move into our right hip, I like to think of this as our Dharma. That's a Sanskrit yogic term for our divine mission, purpose, sort of our true nature emerging and evolving. And so when you create this integrative place of the energy of our ancestors, our guides, our angels, coming together with our divine mission, purpose, our Dharma, all sitting now in this belly region around these, where we connect into this vagus nerve, where we have the most nerve endings in our belly than any other piece of any other part of our body. And there's a whole science and theory around trauma healing, around somatic healing, where the belly is a major piece of that. So just feel into your belly region. Feel with your ancestors and your guides and your purpose. Just being present to whatever historic trauma may be going on, you may be aware of. And just as in the 3 sync exercise, just be aware of it. The first step in healing our trauma is bringing awareness to it. And I recognize that there's personal trauma, there's ancestral trauma, family trauma, collective trauma, historical trauma. And sort of the notion of the Sefirot and this workshop and the work we get to do is in the space of creating more capacity around healing trauma. We have more energy to do the Dharma, to do the work that's needed to rescue this planet. So let's move up, and where we're going to finish our exercise today, our work today, is in Tiferet, as I said earlier. And this is in the spirit of our reunification as family, and really reunification with self. So if we move up the vagus nerve, connecting the belly, the digestive parts of our body up through into the heart center, we move into our heart chamber, where Tiferet lies. Tiferet bounces the male-female energies. We feel the waters gently on our right side and the fires, the feminine fires on our left side. Tiferet balancing that energy. If you want to include Michael, the angel Michael on your right side and Gabriel on your left side, you can do that. And we enter into the chamber of our heart. And we notice that there's 7 gates for us to move through. And I'm just going to tee this up, if you will, or set this up. We're not going to go full through each gate, but I want to suggest that each gate opens with a shekel. The shekel is carved in a certain way. It's your key. Or another way of putting it, it has your barcode on it, your divine barcode that only your soul contains those numbers or these grooves on this shekel. And when you put it into the gate, you're moving to the gate inside. And each gate represents a different significant transition in your life. So each gate is going to be unique, but if we had time, we could do a separate workshop on this. But suffice it to say, in your imagination and in your experience, what are the 7 gates that you've gone through in your life that you could hold on to as important, strengthening transitions, that you came out on the other side protected and well and healthy? So just imagine that we've moving through these 7 gates of your life, from youth through the various decades of our life and all that we've seen and all that we've experienced. And we come through the 7th gate into the outer chamber of our heart. And we find ourselves sitting in this beautiful open tent in a wide open field, surrounded by grapes, vineyards of grapes, wildflowers out and beyond the vineyards. We notice that there's a few foxes out lying. So this isn't all about being blissed out. This is also about maintaining our awareness to danger. I ask you to invite 2 or 3 or 4 ancestors in with you to sit with you in this outer chamber. And maybe these ancestors have identified themselves, but whoever's there, I want them there for you and only you. They don't have any agendas, only supporting you. And bring whatever other guides you'd like to have sit with you. Mentors, coaches, rabbis. Could be living, they could be dead. And just co-regulate your breathing with them for a moment. Feel embraced by them. Feel held by them. Now imagine that they all hold you by the elbow and they lead you into the inner chamber. And when you move into this inner chamber, you're seated before your elder self. Your elder self who may be passing in the next week or two, whatever many in the space of time, 30, 40 years that may be. But it's that elder self who we define as that tzaddik, that righteous self. And when you're sitting there with your older self, the only thing that you can see and experience is all the mitzvot that you've performed and that you will be performing between now and that point. And maybe you include through one of those gates that younger part of yourself comes in with you to meet with the older self. So all three bodies are fully united, reunited. Maybe that frightened child or that intimidated child somewhere is being held by you. And maybe this adult sitting here today, holding that younger child, looking out onto the older self, feeling united, feeling at one. And let's just, using the sounds of Yud Hey, Vav Hey, let's breathe into the inner chamber. Yud, and exhale, Hey, sorry, exhale, Vav, Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. And let's try to synchronize our breathing. Yud, breathing in, Vav, Hey. And let's do that internally to ourselves. Synchronizing the sound, touching each other's hearts. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. So when we come and see, this is another quote from the Zohar. There is an opening within opening, rung upon rung, through which the glory of the Blessed Holy One becomes known. Opening the tent is opening of righteousness. And it said, open for me the gates of righteousness. This is the first opening to enter through this opening. All other supernal openings come into view. Whoever attains this attains all other openings, for all abide here. I want to thank you all for being part of this conversation, this workshop, and we have a little bit of time to have people share anything they'd like to share from their experience, from their journey, their spiritual practice. And if it worked, did this conversation work for you different clearly than our standard model?
Thank you, Steve. You always are so soothing when you present. And it does help me to reach a different level of internal communication. And I appreciate that very much.
Mm.
And it did work. In fact, I found myself kind of almost leaving my body, which is good because my body's been in a lot of pain recently. So
Yeah, I've heard.
move around. So I'll continue with it. Thank you again. Happy New Year.
Sure. You too.
I'll say something.
Yeah. Yafa.
Hi.
Hi.
So thank you for doing this. I didn't expect, I didn't get the memo that we had transitioned from the normal practice to this. And I have to say it is, for me, a wonderful way to move into my Sunday morning. And a couple of things I think that came up for me. One is coming into a state of balance with the practices that you did, and leaving behind all of the mishigas of the stuff, the politics, that we're immersed in daily. So I thank you for that. It's really important for me right now. And then the other thing that was really sweet for me was visiting with my relatives that I've connected with from beyond often lately. And, the way that they just pop in and show up, and they were right there with us today. So I'm in deep gratitude. Thank you so much for doing this.
Sure. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Well, Steve, you know how much I appreciate everything you do for us. And Jody, I hope you feel better very soon. And I appreciate everything you do. And I appreciate our group. And it is been talking to my students lately about how we, that famous quote in science, we stand on the shoulders of giants. We all build from all these past experiences. And yes, it was wonderful to reconnect with some relatives in the past, and thinking about all the mentors I've been lucky enough to have in my life, and things like that. And I think there's an interesting juxtaposition here between the intellectual stuff that I have to think about that you were teaching us about, and then the emotional and sympathetic feelings. And they really, I'm not balancing them very well. I really got enormous, wonderful stuff out of this session, and it was soothing. But I had to keep fighting not to think too much, or so that I had time to feel, and I had to feel. But then I was missing some of the intellectual things you were teaching me. So I have to figure that all out. But it's a wonderful exercise. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Alexis.
I think you know that I love Jody's chanting, and I miss it. But given that, I really enjoyed what you did today, Steve. I mean, it was in and out. I found the short meditations really effective, and the guided meditations they just moved me in the right place. I thought this was a wonderful alternative to what we have been doing, what you have been doing for, how long has it been? Over a year? I mean, 2 years?
Since COVID, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Yasher Koach. Thank you.
Yeah. Jody? Makom at Adat Shalom?
um, when you said welcome your ancestors, my parents' unveiling is next Sunday, and right next Sunday.
Next Sunday.
Yeah. And I asked if they were here, and they didn't feel like they were here, but I blessed them and I said they're probably getting busy or whatever happened during the unveiling. And we're doing a double because we were taking care of my mother. Well, she was in the process of dying when it was time for his unveiling. So it just, just couldn't deal with that. So I think it's interesting that we're doing it together. And it turns out that the cemetery didn't order the marker when we had ordered it. And so it just came in, and we're having it on my father's birthday. So it's going to be very interesting. And I love this, incorporating the Sephirot in my body is just so grounding and so empowering. I'm going to remember the Sephirot when I'm at the unveiling, and to ground into the earth. I love what you talked about, that Rabbi Tirza talks about with the domes under the earth and connecting to the earth, because I'll be connecting to my parents who are in the earth and everywhere else. So it'll be interesting. So thank you for that visual and info.
Nice to see you, Marla.
Thanks, Steve. Nice to be here with you and I don't know if that came through. I said, thanks. Nice to be here with you and everyone.
Yeah, and then you cut off, but yeah, we got it.
Steve,
Phil?
it was a lovely gesture you made. You brought Paul into the room and you lit the candle. I thought, what a nice way of honoring Paul, his ritual of lighting a candle to start a practice like this. So
Yeah.
I missed Paul. I miss you guys. It was just nice to invoke him in that way.
Glad you could be here. Well, thank you all. We'll do it again in one shape, size, form, or another. And I hope everybody has a healthy, happy 2022 in every respect. And have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, Steve, for stepping up so fully. Oh, he's gone. Jody, I'll see you later.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Are you going to come down?
I'm pretty sure I will.
Oh, it'd be so great to see you.
Yeah, I'm going to be wearing a mask the whole time now.
Fine.
Yeah,
It's fine. But if you're feeling up for it, it'd be great to see you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa
right.
reached out to me, sent me an text during the program, so I'll respond to her text.
Oh, great. Well, maybe you could ride with her and then.
Yeah, I think that's what she was offering.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Love
right.
you.
Love you too.
I missed chanting.
It'll come back,
I know. I'm sure it will.
but we'll rejoice with you when it does.
Oh, I forgot to stop recording.
Oh.